Go ahead and state your name and tell everyone a little bit about what you do and your profession for us.
My name is Gabrielle Ayers, and I'm a senior at Bellarmine University. I'm majoring in communication and design art technology, where I'll graduate this May. I work at GE Appliances at the National Sales Center um, on a multifamily team that works with condos and apartments. And I also have a work study position at Bellarmine where I work in the Student Activities Center. And I'm the Director of Public Relations for the Bellarmine Activities Council.
So the interview is going to be about focus and concentration. So I think the first question that I want to start off with is, in everything that you do, how important is concentration in your field of work, whether it be BAC or GE or wherever?
At GE, it's very important because I'm putting in large appliance orders for huge projects.
Right.
And if I'm not paying attention, if I'm not being attentive to detail, we could send the wrong, like one number, one letter could send the wrong model off to a project of, say, 300 units.
Right. How important is it in your extracurricular activities at school, for example? What's the most important? What position is most important when it comes to concentration? Where you need the most concentration besides GE?
Well, I'm also on the Bellarmine radio. I have a show called That's Important.
Plug.
Yeah, listen to my show. But I feel like that is where it's most important that I pay attention, because it is a live broadcast.
Right.
It's not something where I can go back and edit, or where I have time to like sit there and think and plan out what I'm going to say. It's
Right.
on the spot.
On the spot. Okay.
So I have to stay on track with whatever we're talking about and like pay attention.
Okay. So say you're on your radio show, or you're at work. What are some common external distractions that you encounter on a daily basis?
My phone. I would say that's number one.
Number one?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What about internal distractions?
I think probably stress about, because I am doing a lot of things, and a lot of the times I am like multitasking, and so like internally I will be, well, externally I'll be doing one thing, but internally I'll be thinking about something else that I need to do.
Right.
And that can be a big distraction.
So what are your thoughts on external distractions and internal distractions playing at the same time? Do you think that's something that happens pretty often in your day-to-day?
Yeah, because the phone, although it's an external distraction, it can lead, like I can check my email on my phone and then be like, oh crap, I have a bill due.
Right.
Or oh crap, I have to do this for another organization.
Right.
So they kind of play together, I think.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about self-talk. So self-talk can be either positive or negative for the most part. There's a few in-betweens there, but usually positive or negative. And it can be a potential internal distractor, but it can also be a way to fight off potential distractions. So what kind of self-talk do you find yourself doing mostly?
It really depends on the day and what's going on. But I tend to procrastinate a lot and put things off. So that's where negative self-talk will come to play. And I'm like, come on, you've been putting this off. Like, you have to do this. So if I've procrastinated, then I kind of like guilt trip myself or something, and it can be pretty negative. But on a good day, you know, if I'm on the right track and I'm staying focused, then it's easier for like positive self-talk to like reinforce what you're already doing.
Which one do you feel helps you the most, or helps motivate you the most to get something done? Positive or negative self-talk?
I think, again, it also depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Negative self-talk is good at helping to accomplish the task.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm going to fail. Or, oh, if I don't do this, I could lose my job.
Right.
So, like, those negative factors are inspiring, I guess.
They're definitely motivators.
Yeah, they're
for
motivators.
Sure.
And I think positive, self-talk helps me accomplish my tasks in a better way, like a more wholesome approach to the task,
Mm-hmm.
where, like, my work will probably end up being better.
Right.
Because I'm, like, motivated in a positive way. It's not like, oh, I just need to get this done.
Right.
It's, oh, I need to do this, but, I can do this. I believe in it.
Do you find yourself using positive or negative self-talk based on the task at hand? So, for example, if it's a task that you enjoy doing on a daily basis that you like to do you find yourself using mostly positive self-talk because you enjoy doing that? And if it's something that you don't want to do, such as going to work for 8 hours, you kind of get yourself through it with maybe negative self-talk, or could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, when I'm doing the jobs that I enjoy and that I feel that they are fulfilling,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to be like, oh, this is the work you love,
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Yeah.
And do it well. But when I'm sitting at my desk and like you said, for 8 hours and the time's going by so slowly, it's like I have to make myself, and that's when the negative self-talk comes to play.
Right. Okay. Do you have any specific keywords you use to keep yourself focused? So, like telling yourself to relax, or like 1 more hour is a common thing I use when I'm at work, or something like that.
I definitely count down.
Definitely count down.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess in a way that could be a keyword to keep yourself focused on your task at hand.
It can also be distracting though.
Very
because
true.
I'll keep looking at the clock.
Yeah.
But if I look at the clock and I'm like, okay, I have 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then that is also motivating. It's like, just 2 hours, do what you have to do.
Yeah, I think what we found is there's kind of like a very fine line between positive self-talk and negative self-talk, and it being positive because it's helping you get done with your task, or it could be distracting. What are your views on multitasking, and do you think it's possible to be focused and concentrate when you're quote-unquote multitasking?
One of my favorite writers talks about this, and he said that multitasking is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
You're either doing one thing great or everything awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what he says. And the more I think about it and the more I see this play out in my own life, like, that really is true. You can try to do a lot of things at once, but it's impossible to do all of them great. So that's another thing I've tried to focus on, is like making to-do lists where I'll get one task done at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like opening my email, opening a design file, opening Twitter,
right,
all of these things at once to try to multitask. Sometimes you have to, like, it's inevitable, but
mm-hmm.
Your brain is made to focus on one thing.
Right, definitely. To judgmental thinking and performance and things like that, when it comes to evaluating your own performance, would you categorize yourself as a judgmental or non-judgmental thinker primarily?
Definitely judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really nitpicky with my own work, and it can be to a fault probably sometimes. I'm really critical of my work, but yeah.
And I think we're definitely the harshest critics of ourselves, because we see ourselves in everyday life, and we see how we perform and very meticulously in every little task. So it's easy to critique every little thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about judgmental thinking having negative effects on your performance? So, for example, if you start thinking judgmentally about yourself, then it leads to a little bit of anger and frustration because you're not performing how you thought you would.
I think
maybe that leads
it's
you
also
to
I think, yeah, those are all things that happen for sure. But I think it's also self-limiting because if you're expecting everything to be perfect, you're not going to try some things.
Right.
And you might find one way that you think works for you and stick to that instead of like trying other things. And it can make you scared to fail, so you don't branch out. So that can be a downfall of it. But it can be a good thing because you don't want to be like, oh, I'm the greatest. I don't have any room to grow. So it's definitely a balance between like constructive criticism and just like being down on your own work.
Right. So definitely more of the be a little bit more constructive of yourself as opposed to negatively judging yourself in certain aspects.
Yeah.
Do you have any set routines to improve your focus and concentration that you might use? Maybe if you're writing a paper or if you need to just bust some work out really quick.
Yeah, like I said, the timer thing has been really helpful for me. And I think there's even a name for that practice because there's like a theorist that started this thing. I think there's a website where you can go and like set timers and you do like a 25-minute timer and then you get a 5-minute break. And another 25-minute timer and a 5-minute break. And then another 25-minute timer and you get a 15-minute break.
Okay.
And I forget the name of like what that's called.
So, have you seen any improvement on your focus and concentration since you started doing that?
Yeah, I even did it with just reading, like leisure reading. I found that it was really hard for me to just sit down and read a book, which was kind of scary.
Yeah.
So, it was my New Year's resolution, actually. I would sit down, and for 20 minutes, I would set that timer. And the first day, it was really hard not to, like, check my phone. And even the second day and the third day, but it got easier. And I noticed that I was able to concentrate as I did it more often.
Right.
And I was able to focus and read for longer periods of time.
So have you stuck with that routine?
No.
No?
I did it, like, when school started back up, it just got really difficult.
Right. Then again, we could kind of be leading into that multitasking territory where you want to do this routine, but I mean, you have so many other things going on that you need to really bury your focus into.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to talk about is the choking process. Have you experienced a choking process?
And that's when you get nervous when you're talking or speaking?
Kind of. You might be out public speaking at a meeting or something like that, and you had a perfect speech planned. You start to maybe forget a little bit of your speech. That makes you a little nervous. You start to sweat, and then next thing you know, you bomb the whole speech and you forget it.
Yeah, that's happened to me before. I'm a communication major, so I give a lot of presentations. And especially my freshman year, this happened when I was just taking like my intro to public speaking class. Because I do get nervous in front of groups, so it's easy to get in front of a group and just kind of like blank because of like nerves. But I have found some ways to like help with that.
Okay, so in your mind, what's the best way to avoid the choking process?
To prepare, first of all.
Okay.
Have your material prepared, know what you're there to talk about. And for me, I can't read from like a scripted speech. That makes me like more nervous than if I think it's called like extemporaneous speech or something where you just make an outline and you speak to these key points. But someone once told me, this was the best advice I've gotten, and he told me just to remember your purpose when you're speaking and always speak with some type of like drive and determination, like know why you're there, even if it's just like a simple speech for a class. Know what your purpose is, and that way even if you get nervous and you stray from your outline, you know why you're standing up there and you can at least talk to that to some extent. So that's helpful for me.